How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massa Beer Reviews. Back with a little bit of Great Notion up in this piece in the form of their Pot o' Gold. Oh, Pot of Gold, but close enough. Yeah, this is, and this has me very, very interested. It is a 12.5%, not that part, alcohol by volume, blend of barrel-aged and non-barrel-aged Imperial Stout with coffee and vanilla. Also contains lactose. It contains milk sugar, so one of these is probably a milk stout. On the side here, it actually says Great Notion. At Great Notion, it says keep beer fun. I agree. There's no date in the can. This comes courtesy of my boy Steven. The reason why I'm very, very excited to give this beer a whirl is because I view this as almost like a basic beer when it comes to Great Notion. You know, my limited exposure, probably, a dozen or a couple dozen beers from these guys. It's been a lot of shit like to the max. They talk about keep beer fun. Well, they keep beer fucking fun. Crazy pastry sours and insane kind of hopped up monstrosities and huge barrel this and crazy blueberry cake kind of pastry stouty this, that, and the other thing. For all intents and purposes, it's pretty simple. Barrel-aged stout, base stout, blended, vanilla, coffee, a little bit of lactose. That's pretty close to the vest for these guys. So I'm kind of excited to give it a whirl. See what it comes out to. Label-wise, it's a like a weird mustachio Yeti. It's their kind of thing. Next to a pot of gold. It's a leprechaun Yeti. This beer looks weird. I don't know. I have this camera up here I never use. I should use it. If I give it a roll, it'll probably go away. It was chunky. There's a bit of chunkiness floating around there, but it looks like a big old barrel-aged stout. What I like my coffee to look like color-wise, big, thick thickness, but there was these kind of clumps of something or other floating around in the beer. I don't know what it is, but we're going to drink it anyway because it's called science. So yeah, it looks like a big old stout. Skin nose. A lot of barrel in this, man. A lot of barrel, a decent amount of aged coffee. And by aged coffee, I mean like older coffee. It might be more of the coffee that I'm confusing with a bit of barrel. But I'm not getting a huge spirit component. There's a little bit of soft cherry notes in there. We're going to attribute to like a bourbon barrel, stuff like that. There's a little bit of charriness, a little bit of bittering, a bit of roasted malt. And there's this kind of like, I want to say like coffee shop coffee, like diner coffee. It's kind of like a little bit like dark roast coffee, but a little bit kind of burnt kind of coffeeness in there. That could be that barrel kind of influence the coffee on the other end of things. It smells roasty. It smells robust. I could see this actually skewing quite undersweet. I could also see it just being sweet. I mean, no lactose, big barrel-aged beer. It could come off sweet. It can go in either direction, but it smells big and roasty. That's the big components of the beer so far. Let's dive in. Cheers. Oh, look at that tooth work done. Good God. Last time I've been to the dentist, man. For a tooth. I go every 6 months for a cleaning, as everybody should. That's delicious, actually. Definitely skews to the sweet side. The barrel definitely comes through. The spirit definitely comes through. There's a cool marshmallow, coconut, vanilla component that I believe is something other than the lactose and the vanilla out of this beer. I believe this barrel is showing up in spades, even though it is blended, which is kind of impressive. But you have this big kind of charred marshmallowy kind of roasty toasty kind of thing going on there with this coconut vanilla kind of thing that is absolutely fantastic. I want to say there's a mintiness in this, which is kind of weird, but I can get that every now and then from barrel-aged beers, so yeah, we'll chalk it up to that. It's got a really nice mouthfeel to it. It's soft and creamy, but powerful and dense. Got a nice icky stickiness, but it's not like heavy to drink, so it's floating on that line. That's a little bit too dense or a little bit too thin. This is actually really good. This is like really good. Oh, there's a date on here. It's up top. I did not notice. So this is almost exactly to the day, 1 day less, 3 months old. This is really good. This is a really good barrel-aged beer. A barrel-aged blended beer. I gotta make sure I say that because I think if you give me a little bit more barrel, you give me a little bit more booziness, I'm not complaining here. But if you give me a little bit less, I'm definitely complaining. So I think there's a deft hand when it comes to the blending portion of the show of this beer. I like the way the addition of the vanilla works in here. And the milk sugar, I think it props up what is already a coconut kind of vanilla vibe from the barrel. Just accentuates it. Sure, you could taste that it's added, but it helps. It marries with that barrel. It helps bring it up a little bit more. The coffee portion of the show, I think, is utilitarian in a very fun way, too. I'm not calling this a coffee beer. I don't think this is a big coffee beer. But I think there's a really nice, meaningful, roasty toastiness at the base of this beer that I don't think would be as present without that coffee backing it up. So there's a lot of adjuncts in here I think are really smartly played, and that they're actually taking the natural bits and pieces of what the beer is and using the adjuncts to help prop them up and make them a little bit more vibrant. You know, a lot of these adjunct laden beers, especially these pastry stouts, are typically just like, hey, you know, in a really well done, you know, barrel aged stout, we get, you know, toffee and coconut and all these other things. Let's just throw all those things in a beer and just have at it, which is fine. If you do that in a very measured way, it can be really tasty. But there's the other end of it, which is like, let's not just fake those flavors, because I think barrel-aged flavors like that are much more adulty and decadent. Let's add enough of these components to the beer that take what's already inherent in the beer and just adds a little bit of volume. It's like the MSG of beer, I guess you could say. It just adds a little bit of volume to each one of those components to make it a really tasty kind of version of that beer. And I think they do a really good job of it. This is tasty. This is very, very tasty beer. And probably, honestly, one of the better stouts that I've had from Great Notion. I mean, you know, from when I've had them, from when I only did crowlers of Peanut Brother, and I got it sent off by my buddy out there in the West Coast, and to see them kind of grow into the brew they are today, and to get so kind of dialed in to keep it fun, to have something that's, well, not stuffy or super old school. This is, you know, not typical of what I have from these guys. And I think they killed it. Yeah, very tasty stuff. Is this one of the better blended barrel-aged stouts that I've had as of late? Yes. Is it Mount Rushmore status? It's probably worthy. I don't know why I'm hesitant to put it in, but even that just tells you that it's a really good beer. Value and availability on this, no idea. Steven, let me know it's what. There's a label on here for a single can, so he bought this as a single. And leave you with, if you like, well, we like this. If you like big barrel-aged stouts, you like barrel character, and you want them to be accentuated a little bit, sure. It's by Adjunct, but I don't think it's that heavy-handed at a point where it's just... This is going to be classified as a pastry stout. That's what it is. And rightfully so. But it's just eking over the line to that as opposed to being full-on, crazy, full pastry stout. So if you like big barrel-aged stouts, you like the flavors that come with them, you don't mind a little bit of artificial enhancement, you will love this. So there you go. Review in the books. If you've had this, let me know down there. You can write all you want. If you had it or not, you can write whatever you want. Go ahead. Let's see. If you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, Massive Beers, podcasting stuff, Beer Massif. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully you're enjoying a little bit of Great Notion right now. Hope to see you next time. Cheers.